Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to the month of June. Feel the warm, or actually the hot weather and bright sunshine and lots of fun activities already starting. Thanks to all of you who've joined us here in the building, and thanks to those tuning in, zooming in on our love stream this morning. We have a wonderful service for you today. Some new music and a great speaker. I can't wait to hear her. So good to see some old friends visiting us and coming back after such a long at-home sabbatical, if that's what you want to call it. Let's sing together our opening song. It's called Jump. 2, 3, 4.
Jump into my life, abandon fear and strife. Wake up my desire, jump into the fire. I'm flying higher, I trust God in me. All of life is here for me. I take a leap of faith and see all I want comes easily. Trust God in me. All of life is here for me. I take a leap of faith and see all I want comes easily. I jump into my life, abandon fear and strife. Wake up my desire, jump into the fire. I'm flying higher. Trust God in me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday. We're happy that you've joined us here at the center today. My name is Chris Kirch. Some people call me Mr. Fun. You can probably imagine why. I also am called Mr. Fantastic. Anybody wonder why? Because I'm fun and fantastic. What?
By whom?
By whom? Oh, yeah. Well, good question. This is my first time, so it's very exciting to be here.
Yay.
Boy, you people are scary. Most of you know we're a center, a spiritual community that teaches a philosophy for daily living based on spiritual principles and practices that are universal among all religions. We honor all pathways by which people seek to know and connect with the divine, and we work on our individual consciousness so we can help make the world a better place. It's wonderful for that, we're open up and we've got so many people here. It's very exciting to see a big crowd. And then there's me with my sparkly thing. I borrowed it. We want you to know that we're asking everyone that has not been vaccinated to still wear a mask. Of course, we still continue to live stream. We call it love stream. We're live streaming. I got to get me some shoes like he's got over there. So, man, he's got cool. I got the cool jacket, but he's got the cool shoes. Our practitioner doing reading, yes, thank you. Our practitioner doing a reading and prayer today is Linda Brewer. Linda's my coach. I love her. The practitioner holding high watch is Katie Hernandez. back there by the table. And throughout the service, she'll be in prayer, confirming that the best and highest good is unfolding as we share this special time together. We'd like to begin by affirming together our center's purpose, which you'll see on the screen. There it is. Please say it with me. We are an open, welcoming community, celebrating our divinity, loving our humanity, and nurturing our journeys of spiritual discovery. If you'd like to learn more about our center, stay up to date with announcements, or check upcoming classes in our fantastically fun get-togethers. We do have some fun get-togethers. You can visit our website, and it goes www. We all say that, right? www. Spirituallyfree.org. Oh, did I forget the dot? I forgot my dot. Thank you. Yes, it's training. Reminds me back in kindergarten, which was the toughest 3 years of my life. I have lots of witnesses too. I do want to share a real quick spiritual experience that was one of my favorite, most spiritual experiences of my entire life, and I'm grateful for being here now. Almost 12 years I've been coming here. And last Sunday, I had the most beautiful spiritual experience of my life. My little sweetheart back there in the corner, the blonde gal. Hi, honey. The coffee lady. Oh, the things I could tell you about coffee. Last Sunday afternoon, we were in the neighborhood visiting some friends, and I'm going to be shot for this probably, but there's a good reason. And Jerry was introducing me to the neighbors. They were all out in the middle of the street talking. And she goes, "This is the love of my life, Craig." Well, I had to raise my hand. Oh, there she goes. No, and
Who's Craig?
well, I had to think about this a while, and then it dawned on me. So I have got it figured out. This is a beautiful spiritual experience because Craig must be her guardian angel, and sometimes she confuses me with her guardian angel, and that's my spiritual experience. These are things you should know, and I'm learning. So, okay, we'd like to. Yes.
She said testify.
Testify, yes. Can I get an amen? Oh, I love you guys. We'd like you to know you can go to our website and you can submit a prayer request, sign up for the newsletter, and see upcoming topics, speakers, and musicians. Some of our announcements are, one, it's this Wednesday is the Taizé. Does everybody know what a Taizé is? No? I have got an answer for that. They're absolutely beautiful. A Taizé is a deeply spiritual experience which for 80 years has brought together people from all cultures and denominations. It is a sign of hope in a divided world, and it has brought new life to churches throughout the world. And the music is just amazing. It's these guys. Also, coming up on the 23rd, beginning the 23rd, is Reverend Lynn's class. It's the Intro to Science of Mind. The textbook starts the 23rd and it goes on June 23rd, 30th, July 7th, and 14th. Next week, everybody knows is Father's Day. We are having a special time. We're going to have a Father's Day T-shirt parade.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Oh. Well, I'm doing it next week. Okay, it's 2 weeks. And if you like this, wait till you see my T-shirt. Thank you for enlightening me. It's 2 weeks. Also, coming up in September, in August is the 50th anniversary celebration. And then in September is the Big Sky Spiritual Retreat, Illumination. And if the early bird special, if you sign up before the end of June, you get a discount. So, also, there was going to be a fun F-U-N raiser this week, but it's, or was it next week?
Yeah.
I get confused. It was going to be next week, but now it's postponed till June 27th, and it's going to be fun.
It's a fundraiser for Lorraine Horstmanhoff, who is ill.
Yes.
She's sick. So we're doing a fundraiser. Mary Tebbs is leading it.
Yes. Thank you. The theme for this month is Ready to be Made Whole, and our speaker today is Reverend Claire Summerhill, and she'll be introduced by Reverend Myrna. So, our center was founded on and is grounded in prayer, which helps us deal with whatever comes our way and create a positive experience regardless of our situation. Our professional prayer practitioners are trained in the art of science of affirmative prayer and are ready to pray for and with any of us. You just click on the link on our homepage and send us a request, and all of the practitioners will uplift you in prayer this week. Or if you'd like to connect personally, let us know, and a practitioner will give you a call so you can actively they can share their prayers for you. And after my little spiritual story, I'll probably be calling for a lot of prayers. Thank you. Raj has already started praying for me. I heard that. Our prayer practitioner on the platform today is you, right? Is Linda. And I invite you to settle in and allow Linda and the band to take you to a sacred space within with a reading, music, and prayer. This will be a beautiful experience.
Two quick things I want to say before I do this. One is to remind you all that please save the weekend of July 16th through 18th, because our first candidate for senior minister will be here that weekend, and we'll have more information for you very soon, but please save the dates for you all, particularly Saturday and Sunday. And the other thing is that the governor has requested that we all be praying for rain. We are in a severe drought, and he's asked all of us to please do that. So please join the rest of the spiritual communities all over Utah in doing that. Okay. So our reading today is adapted from the writings of Reverend Catherine Bindig, and it's called Wholeness. It is often a challenge as human beings to recognize and live into the fact that we were designed by our Creator to be more than mere flesh and blood bodies walking the earth. Our bodies are so visible and demand so much attention. It can be easy to forget that as beings created in the image and likeness of God, we are comprised of not only a physical body, but also a mind and spirit. All three, mind, body, and spirit, overlap and intersect. Our soul is the personalized expression of our indwelling spirit. It is through the soul that we are able to transcend the brokenness, dis-ease, and limitations that are part of earthly life, and to live into the fullness of the wholeness that we are. It is when mind, body, and spirit intersect in balance and harmony that ultimate wholeness and healing occur. Wholeness is what Spirit desires for all of us.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and lose myself, when I feel I've lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. And I know this voice of love, it is singing through my life. It is all I am, every part of me. It's all that I choose to be. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only
As we settle in to that holy place within, relishing the wholeness and the stillness that is the truth of who we are, we recognize the magnificence of the one that created us as unique and individual expressions of who it is. Just as it created the mountains and the seas, the land and the sky, every tree and plant, every animal and insect, every fish and creature in the sea, each different from the other, each a unique expression of the one. That one that created the seasons and the magnificent spring that we're experiencing. And as we recognize that power of creation right here and right now, we claim for our state and for the entire West Coast rain, dampness, that which we need to sustain the life of our earth. And as we pray for rain, we also ask that we know what is ours to do. What is ours to do to help contribute to making the world a more friendly place? What is it we might do to conserve water, to save the planet? And so we know that the one that created all that is more than sufficient to answer these prayers. We also know that there is much that is ours to do. And so today, we accept our responsibility And we pray knowing that these words have been spoken into the law which does the work, and therefore they are done. How grateful I am for the power of prayer and the one that created us. And in gratitude, together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Linda. So I want to continue that prayer in a song we'll sing together. This is a beautiful vision called One Day by Matasiahu. It's a really fun song, and it's got a poignant and powerful message. One day. One, two, three.
Sometimes I lay under the moon and I thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. And in this maze you may lose your way, your way. Well, it might drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, see people the same. Stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom like whoa, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and the children will play. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day. One day, one day, one day. Oh, one day, one day, one day.
One day. Thank you. Thanks for singing along. It's my pleasure to introduce our special music. You know, if you picture my wife Shemaine in a beautiful dress and a big wide brim straw hat, and she's going to a carnival right up here in Mill Creek, just east of us. And there's remarkable things. There's little aerialists and lots of food and an extraordinary petting zoo with a camel. Shemaine had a remarkable encounter with a camel. And I won't tell you the whole story because she's writing a book, and we'll want you to buy the book. But just to express the incredible creativity in this young lady, she came home, she wrote a children's story and a song about this encounter with a camel. And it's wonderful. It's not done yet, but it's wonderful. And of course, it'll be fantastic. But anyway, that is just one of the sparks of creativity in this adorable woman I'm so happy to call my wife. Let's give Shemaine Charette a round of applause, our special music today.
Thank you. My book is called A Camel Ate My Hat. So this song is called Less Like Scars. It's by Sarah Groves. And it talks about, it's a conversation with God. And in our philosophy, we emphasize that God is within us and that we're all part of God. And sometimes try to steer away from talking about God as other because we want to be clear that we're one with God. But this is poetry, and Ernest Holmes did talk about that we have a personal relationship with Divine Mind, and we can communicate with Divine Mind. And so I'm very grateful for the presence of Divine Mind, and this is my conversation with it.
It's been a hard year, but I'm climbing out of the rubble. These lessons are hard, healing changes are subtle, but every day it's less like tearing, more like building, less like captive, more like willing, less like breakdown, more like surrender, less like hunting, more like remember. And I feel you here, and you're picking up the pieces, forever faithful, seemed out of my hands and beds
Thank you very much. Thank you, band.
What a remarkable day. And thank you all for being here. It's my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce Claire Summerhill to you. And before I do, I have to issue a little disclaimer. Chris, thank you for telling us about this class that's coming up, the new basic principles class, what we used to call foundations. It's a lovely, lovely class, but these classes are dangerous, and you need to know that. And the way that I'm going to tell you about that is to talk about Claire a little bit. Claire and I have known each other for, hundreds of years. We started together at Unity way before the 21st century. And boy, does that make me feel old? Well, yeah. But Claire and I met when we were both going to Unity, and I moved over to what was then the Church of Religious Science, and she came along a little bit later. And by the time she got here, I'd done the same thing and took the foundations class, and it was, well, what can I say? So she'd been there for a little while, and she decided she wanted to work with the youth church. She's really good with kids. And she asked me if that was okay, if she could do it. And I said, of course, but we do have a rule that before you can work with youth church, you have to take the foundations class, which she did. That's what happened. You can't take just one class. Just thought I'd let you know that. Claire is a wonderful speaker and a great friend and a real... She is the science of mind philosophy, and I just can't wait to hear what she has to say. Help me welcome Claire, Reverend Claire Summerhill.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, to come home to Salt Lake. I live in Las Vegas now, and it's always a wonderful thing to come back to Salt Lake. Two of my sons live here, and yesterday, my oldest son, who is 48, was in a boxing match. He has a career, a family, and in many ways seems like a very normal, well-adjusted person. But he decided that he wanted to try boxing. And so a few months ago, he started training. And so last night we went Thanksgiving point, and there were 9 fights, and his was the next to the last one. And I mean, of course, it was really interesting. The other fights, like, well, that's interesting. Like, people are hitting each other, and and you're sort of getting an idea of it. And then your own kid is up there. Oh my gosh! I think afterwards it took a half hour for my heart rate to get back to normal. But and he lost. But this kid is an inspiration to me. And he just reminds me that take things on. Life's an adventure. It's always expanding before us. And of course, I couldn't help but think about when he was 19 or so. One day he came home to show me that he'd leased a new Mazda Miata convertible. Here's Mom. Like, what in the world? What are you thinking? This is not practical. This is not sensible. How can you afford this? What are you doing? And I will never forget this, because he looked at me and said, Mom, you're the one who taught me to want things and then go after them. And here he is all these years later. Like, how many of us just kind of reach this point where we kind of think we're done already? What a thing. And he said, he loves to work out. He doesn't know if he'll keep doing it. He did lose the fight, but my gosh, just the fact that he was up there, that he was willing to do that, just inspired me and helped me remember take on new things, try new things. So today I want to talk for a few minutes about wholeness and healing and what it means to be whole and how that relates to the idea of healing. So there's a story I like, a story that happened a long, long time ago. Now, as Myrna said, I worked with the children, and in Las Vegas, in the church, the center where I go, I worked with our kids for quite a long time, I think 5 years or so. And I like to share stories from all traditions and religions and philosophies, because there's truth in all those different stories. And of course, the kids always wanted to know when I'd tell a story. They'd say, is that a true story or a made-up story? That's what you're trying to figure out when you're a kid, right? And I would say, well, some people think it's a true story, and some people think it's a made-up story. What do you think? Because I'm already trying to teach kids to think. You know, we're scientists. We think, we consider, we evaluate. So some of the kids might say, well, I think it's a true story. And some of the kids might say, I think it's a made-up story. And then I would say, see, it's okay. Some people think it's a true story, some people think it's a made-up story, and that's fine, and that's not what really matters. What matters is what it tells you. And then, of course, they'd ask me, well, what do you think? And I'd say, well, I think maybe some parts of it are true and some parts of it are made up, but I don't think it really matters. So our tendency sometimes when we hear things as human beings is we get kind of trapped in, is that right or not? Is that true or not? Do I agree with that or not? And we're so busy spinning that around in our mind that we don't even hear what the story's about. So I encourage you to just be with, I'm telling a story. Some people think it's a true story. Some people think it's a made-up story. Okay, so this is the story. So this happened far away, long, long ago in a city called Jerusalem. And it happened that there were some pools there. There was a spring that came down and filled a large pool, and then it spilled into a lower pool, and so the water stayed fresh. And every so often, as it turned out, the water in the lower pool started to sort of bubble and twirl. And the tradition was that the first person that got into the water after that happened would be healed of whatever infirmity they had. So, of course, there were a lot of people hanging around there with different infirmities and problems and challenges. And there was one man that the story says had been there for more than 30 years, maybe paralyzed or something. He was there by the side of the pool. Well, there was this other man that lived there, and he came along. We know him now by the name Jesus, and he came along and he saw this guy, and he knew he'd been there a while. And he looked at him, and he asked him this really interesting question. Do you want to be made whole? Now, it's really interesting that most of us so often, like we go everywhere else. Well, how long have you had this? What have you tried so far? Oh, I knew somebody else that had something like this, and they did this, and that worked for them. You know how we go all those other places? Jesus only had one question. Do you want to be made whole? Another translation is, are you willing to be made whole? Those are slightly different, but very close. Do you want to be made whole? Are you willing to be made whole? Now, in these stories, remember, everybody in these stories is us. So we're the man, too. And so what do we do? When we're offered something, his response was, well, I can't. I don't have anybody to help me, and every time the water churns, somebody else gets there first. And so I can't be made whole. That's us, right? It's excuses. It's always somebody else's fault, circumstances. Jesus, of course, who represents, infinite wisdom, the infinite creative energy of the universe, didn't hear those answers. He heard the man's real answer, which was, yes, I do want to be made whole, but I don't know how. Of course, that's where so many of us are. Yes, I want to be made whole. I want to feel and experience my unity with all that is. No, my oneness. I want to feel the connection with other people. I want to know my creative power and who I'm meant to be. Yes, I do want that, but I don't know how. I don't know how to be whole. And so, of course, what did Jesus say to the man? Pick up your bed and walk. And the man did pick up his bed, and he walked. The only critical piece was his desire. Do you want to be made whole? See, the universe is always giving us everything, and as much as it can, just keeps coming and coming. We're surrounded by abundance, but we can only have as much as we're willing and ready to accept. And of course, as we look around our lives, we see this is exactly what I am willing and able to accept. And that's why I have it right now. And so our goal is never to beg some power outside of us, blame other people, think if other people were different, then I could have a different experience of life. No, it's about expanding our ability to accept. The universe can't give any more than everything. It's simply up to us. And it's interesting, our Las Vegas Center right now is also in the process of creating, welcoming, preparing for a new minister. Our minister had been with us 20 years, retired at the end of 2019. So we have been in the same process you have been. And I have been stressing, what are we as a center ready to receive? What are we willing? That's the question. Are you ready? Are you willing to receive? And as we're ready in Las Vegas, as you become ready, then that appears. Now, so how does this relate to healing? Ernest Holmes said that the way the creative process works is our thought makes an impress on each sort of infinite creative substance, or our thoughts create a mold into which infinite God energy flows, taking that shape, and that we can use the power of our thought to heal the sick and to change conditions. So what does that mean exactly? So I want to tell a couple of stories about that. So the first one's a personal one about me. Not too long ago, I fell while I was out walking, and my foot slipped on some loose gravel, and I went down, and there were some loose rocks and stuff on the sidewalk there that my knee hit, and so my leg is bleeding. And so I was pretty close to home, so I managed to get up and get home and take my shoe off and take my bloody sock off and laid down on the couch with, some paper towels on my knee, thinking, well, stop bleeding, it'll heal. But, of course, we have phones, so we have to use our phones, right? So I had to take a picture of my knee and send it to my daughter. I said, look what I did. And, of course, she was horrified, and she said, I'm on my way over to take you to the ER. So she did come, and she took me, and it turned out, I'd broken the patella. There's a crack in the kneecap, and I needed 5 stitches to close up the big gash in my knee. Now, and of course it healed, and I am, back to walking again and building up my strength again. So that's what happened. So I looked at that, and of course, one of the things I strongly believe is that everything that happens is a gift to us from the universe. There's light, there's insight, there's an opening in everything that happened. So I looked at this experience of mine, and here's the here's the most important thing about it was my experience through all of it was simply this experience of intense gratitude. And I'm there in the hospital. And I'm just so grateful. I mean, I'm so grateful that I have a daughter. I'm so grateful she loves me. I'm grateful she lives near me. I'm grateful she's willing to drop whatever she's doing, put her kids in the car, and take me to the hospital. Wow. And then I'm so grateful for the hospital. You know, there's this hospital right close by to me, fully stocked, everything that's needed. There are people there that are trained, that know exactly what to do. Wow. And you know, I mean, I have my complaints about the government and the medical system like everybody, but, you know, I don't have to worry. It's going to get paid for. I don't have to worry when I'm home and think, oh, I can't afford it. How can I afford it? Our center has a sister center in Kenya, and that's a concern when you get hurt. How am I going to pay for it? Do I need to just not get care? I didn't have to worry about any of that. And of course, you know, I returned home, and I realized the next day the first thing I wanted to do was call my spirit group, which is our small group ministry. We have groups of 8 or 10 people that gather once a week and do a book or a check-in or a series. And we've been doing it by Zoom, and I realized I need to call my spirit group. And why? Well, first of all, I knew they'd really want to know. And they'd want to hold me in love and know my body was healing and send me love. I also knew, like, they'd be mad at me, like if they found out, like I got hurt and I didn't tell them. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? And then, you know, of course, some friends came over and brought me some delicious food. And one of the sweetest things, a sweet guy who came over who has cats, I knew I had cats, and said, "Where's your litter box and your scoop?" Oh, you know how sweet that is? Like, I wasn't saying, is there anything you need? Because I would never ask anybody to do that for me, even though I couldn't get down there. You know what I mean? So I'm in this place of gratitude for all of it. Gratitude for my body, that it knows what to do, and all the rest of it. Now, the lesson to learn from that as we talk about healing and wholeness is things do happen. You know, hurricanes, storms, you know, divorces, people looking at you funny, people saying something you don't like, all of it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's simply a fact. There's nobody to blame. We have a tendency to take things personally. You know, why did this happen to me? To blame myself. Why am I so clumsy? Why did I let that happen? Why wasn't I paying more attention? Or, you know, we make up all these stories about it. Oh, maybe it's something from a past life. Like, that's why this thing happened. Or it's this or it's that. Instead of just being with, things happen. Things happen. And now what? And we can choose that. And it was interesting to me. It wasn't even like a conscious thing with me, because I've been working on this for so long. Like Myrna said, you work on it. And it wasn't like, oh, I should be grateful. I should look for the gift. Although years ago, that's where I would have been, and that's an okay place to be. But what just happened, because I choose gratitude always, whatever happens, I'm grateful for it. That's part of healing and wholeness, is remembering that we get to choose. That's why Jesus said, do you want to be made whole? The man got to choose. Yes, he wanted to be. So here's another little story about that. This next one's a made-up story, okay? So imagine we've got two older women, and they're both in the hospital, and they both have exactly the same diagnosis, exactly the same symptoms, exactly the same pain, exactly the same weakness, exactly the same prognosis. Now, the first lady is absolutely miserable. She's angry at everyone. She's angry at the doctors. They never do anything wrong, right? She's angry at the nurses for all they're just never there. She's angry at her family. They don't come to visit often enough. She's angry and upset about everything. If some treatment is recommended, some sort of last-ditch treatment with an extremely minimal chance of helping, she's desperate to try it, to do anything. So that's her experience. She knows she may die, and she's terrified of that. She's looking back at her life, and she's worried that maybe is she going to go to purgatory? Is she going to go to hell? Is she going to be punished for the mistakes she made in her life? And this is her experience of her illness. Okay, then we have the other woman. The exact same diagnosis, the exact same symptoms. And this woman is at peace. She's at peace. In the morning when she wakes up, she can look at her pain kind of from a place of curiosity. Wow, look what's happening to my body. Look what's going on in my body. She can look out the window and say, wow, I have another day where I can look out and see the blue sky. You know, if she has a taste of soup in her mouth, she savors it. I don't know how much longer am I going to be able to swallow and taste food in my mouth. She accepts the treatment, the medication. She's grateful. She also thinks about dying. She doesn't know what's going to happen after she dies. Maybe there's nothing, maybe there's something. She has no idea what the experience would be like, but she's had other times when she's entered into something where she had no idea what the experience would be like, and she just looks forward to it, thinking, I wonder what it'll be like. So you look at those two women, and of course it's clear that only the first one needs to be healed. The second one is healed. She's whole. She's complete. Now, healing is a fascinating subject, and it's one I really would like to delve deeper into. You know, so many of the people in our movement have studied the healing process, and there are many different approaches to it. But a really interesting thing that often happens is that when someone gets to the place of peace, things happen. This is what's so right now. I have this diagnosis, I have these symptoms, I have these cells that are growing in an abnormal way in my body, but I'm at peace. Often the physical symptoms actually do change. Now, not always, but frequently enough that we know there's a relationship between that. And of course you know this, we never ever judge anyone else who's sick by saying, oh, why did they create that for themselves? We have no idea what path they're on and what they need to experience and learn. And so we don't go there. But we do know that we can hold the person who's in pain or has a diagnosis in love, knowing the truth, that their body knows what to do, that their body does know how to heal them. And if that's sort of Spirit's highest idea, well, the issues that are causing them difficulties may change. It's just good to keep that in mind. Sometimes we call that, we're not really attached to outcome because we know it's all a gift, and we know that there's nothing wrong with dying. My fall was not good or bad. It's simply something that happened. And then I had a certain experience out of it. So we look at this question. And of course, the question for you is, do you want to be whole? And if the answer is yes, but I don't know how, of course, that's what we do here at Center for Spiritual Living. That's what our classes, our services, all of what we do is about come, listen. That's what we're here for. We're here to create a space of love, a place of acceptance, a place of connection. And as your purpose statement says, an open, welcoming community celebrating our divinity, on these journeys of spiritual discovery. So if you're in that place where you're saying, you're like the man lying paralyzed there by the pool, thinking good will never come to you, what you want will never come, that you don't know how to do it, nobody will help you. Remember, the question is, do you want to be whole? And if the answer is yes, I do, then take the next step. The next step may be taking a class, reading a book, calling a practitioner. Ask that practitioner to know the truth for you, to hold you in that truth. So, in conclusion, as I finish up, I want to tell you one more story. This also is a true story. Perhaps some of you know Michael Ballum. He's an opera singer who started the Utah Festival Opera up in Logan. And this is a story he tells about his youngest son, Ben, who was born with spina bifida. So one day when this little boy was about 5 or 6 maybe, they were at the church they attended, and one of the boy's teachers came up to the little boy and she said, Ben, if you could meet Jesus, what would you want to say to him? And the little boy thought for a minute, and he said, well, I think I'd just like to tell him how much I love him. So the teacher wasn't really satisfied with that. She pushed a little further. She said, but, isn't there anything you'd like to ask Jesus? So you just picture this little boy in the wheelchair, blonde head, he's thinking, what a little 5 or 6-year-old does. He said, no, I can't. I just want to tell him I love him. So, of course, the teacher, like a lot of us, just couldn't give it up. Said, but, if you could see Jesus, wouldn't you want to ask him to heal you? And as Michael Ballum tells this story about his son, because he was there, he said, Ben just got this totally baffled, confused look on his face. And he said, why? I'm not sick. Now see, that little boy was whole. He knew his wholeness. He knew his perfection. He knew the fact that he was in a wheelchair and his legs didn't work like other people's didn't mean there was anything wrong with him. He was whole. He was perfect and complete. It was the teacher who saw him as broken, that there was something wrong. And this is so important as we move toward wholeness, as we move into this place of accepting and allowing our wholeness, experiencing ourselves as whole, that we don't ever see it as fixing something that's wrong. We get stuck in that, and then we get focused on what's wrong rather than on remembering, on feeling, on knowing our wholeness, knowing we're whole. So, of course, my challenge to you today is to look at that question. Am I willing to be made whole? And the answer is yes. Then step forward with those actions that come to you. Open your hands and say, yes, I accept. I am whole. I am complete. Let's go from there into prayer. So, this is what I know. I know that I live surrounded by love. Love is all there is. There is only love. I know I live in an abundant universe, bursting with possibility, with energy, a generous, ever-giving universe, a flow that cannot be stopped, but that I can channel into the form and the shape that I create with my thoughts. I know I am an expression of the divine. Divine love, divine energy flows through me and out into the world as I open myself, remove the blocks, and let that light out. And as I know this is true for me, I know it's true for every person here because we are one. We are one in spirit, one in love. In your eyes, it's me I see. We are all the face of God, God showing up in all these incredible forms and ways. And standing in this place of knowing love, this place of knowing absolute abundance and freedom, I can then declare, and I speak this word, that each of us says, yes, yes, I'm willing to be whole. I want to be whole. I'm ready to be whole, to know my wholeness, to remember my wholeness, to accept it. I see this center, Salt Lake Center for Spiritual Living, growing and thriving as a place of love, a place that attracts more and more people, a place that the people who are seeking light, meaning and passion and joy in their lives find and come, a place where you come together to support each other in love. I see the right and perfect minister showing up to bless this center, to lead it, to guide it, to be your partner on your journeys, inspire you, love you. Know all this is unfolding right here and right now. And I'm so, so grateful for all of it. I'm grateful for what this center is becoming, grateful for the difference it makes in the lives of each person here, each person listening, each person who finds their way here. I'm grateful for the transformation that's occurring. I'm grateful for the abundance that's flowing into this space, into these lives. I'm grateful to be alive, grateful to be on this journey. I know all is well. All is perfect. This is God's life. This is my life now. And so we say together, and so it is.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful.
Yes, we are. We are so, so blessed. And you, as a center here, I hope you know how blessed you are with these musicians and their power to move and inspire us, to open us up. So now's the time in our service, and it's one of my favorite parts in all of our services, where we get to consciously enter in to the flow of giving and receiving. Now, the universe is always giving, and we have, as I said, what we're able to receive. But, there are many wonderful ways to give. And so for each one of us, we need to find the way that works for us. For me personally, what I like to do is set up my gift as a recurring gift. Then I don't ever have to think about it again. It just comes, and I know it's going to go, it's going to support what I believe in, what's important to me, and I'm going to be in the flow. What I want is for all of our CSL people, our members, to learn how to live in abundance. And I think it's one of our challenges and opportunities as ministers and leaders, and as the leaders of your center here, to provide you with the tools you need to bring more abundance into your life. Now, one of the things I love about Science of Mind is that we're scientists, and so we do experiments. And one of the stories from my history I love is my dad was a rocket scientist, actually a PhD physicist. And he and my mother joined the Mormon Church shortly after they were married. They had one baby, and he'd been an atheist before that. But that's another story, but they decided this was the right place for them to be, and they joined the Mormon Church. And then the missionaries, who told them, said, you got to pay 10% now of your money to the Mormon Church. Well, they couldn't. They were just students, poor. I had this ledger my mother kept where she kept track of every penny they spent, like 2 cents for gum and their rent, $30, back in that day. They couldn't afford that. So these missionaries said to them, instead of saying, well, you have to, if you want to be part of this church, or you should, or God won't love you, or whatever, the missionary said, well, we don't care, but are you willing to do an experiment? Just pay 10% and see what happens. Well, my dad was a scientist. He couldn't resist that, right? So my mom tells me she sort of wanted to, but she was afraid, to say anything, because that was a different time when the men were sort of in charge. But he said, let's do the experiment, see what happens. Well, they made it through the next month, and the next, and the next, and there were raises and bonuses, and he always had work, he always had a job. They raised their 8 children, and they paid money to the Mormon Church until they died, because he was willing to do an experiment. So often, if people are saying, well, I can't, or I don't want to, I don't know what, whatever the reason is, like I say to you, just do an experiment. That's what religious scientists do. Do an experiment and see what happens. So now, I want you to repeat with me the affirmation I like to use for giving. I'll say it, and then you can, I've got it on the screen. Great. I don't remember what I was supposed to say, so I thought I was going to have to make something up. Okay, great. Which is just fine, because I'm really good at that. All right, so let's say this together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Filled with gratitude, I let this be, and so it is.
All that
let's hear again from Shemaine Charette.
This is called Affirmation Song. Sometimes what we need for healing is to be willing to believe that we're worthy of that healing and wholeness. Thank you.
Awesome. What a holy day. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a blessed week. Don't get too much sunshine, but be sure and soak a little bit of it up. Thank you, Reverend Claire. That was a beautiful message.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can we give Claire a round of applause?
Yeah.
And thank you, Shemaine. Wonderful song.
Thank you, band.
I would
That
say
was
Yeah.
fun.
I'm going to tell you just a short story. About 9.5 years ago, Shemaine and I eloped. We went to Las Vegas and got married. It was kind of spontaneous. The decision came very quickly, but we still put the word out over social media at that time. Said, come join us. Well, we had one couple show up at our wedding, and that was Reverend Claire and her husband.
Wow.
So,
And she acted as my bridesmaid because
Yeah.
I need some help pinning my dress up and stuff.
yeah, we got some beautiful pictures to prove that. Don't forget, Father's Day is June 20th. And guys, pick out a funky, fun T-shirt that's not rude or crude. I think we're going to have a parade. That's what I want to do. I want to have a parade, so we get to see what everybody's wearing.
It's guys and gals. Wear a fun T-shirt.
Okay, all right. Everybody gets to. So don't forget that. And Taizé. The Taizé service we'll do Wednesday night here at 6:30. It's a beautiful service. Meditation, song, and silence. It's a great way to reconnect, I guess, with spirit, with some intention in the middle of the week. And it's really fun, and Shemaine and I love to do it. So please come. Let's stand together and sing our closing song. Together, we could change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world. Lay the puzzle pieces out. Find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. With our hands and with our hearts, we can dare to make a start. Together we can change the world. What if we spoke with one voice, knowing that we have a choice? Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Change your mind and change your life. Set aside the fear and strife. Together we can change the world. When we open up our eyes, then we start to realize. Together we can change the world. I can start this by myself, but I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sailing past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world.
Thank you.